These two musical giants are endowed with remarkable voices, charisma on stage, and a remarkable capacity to enthrall listeners. During the same time period, Engelbert Humperdinck and Tom Jones became well known for their captivating performances and compelling personalities. Beneath their dazzling achievements, however, was a rivalry that would endure for decades, driven by ego, competition, and the unrelenting desire to be the best. Engelbert Humperdinck finally speaks up today, revealing the details of their turbulent relationship. He offers a glimpse into the underlying conflicts and tense moments that characterize their relationship for the first time, exposing the darker side of their encounters. The music industry was changing in the middle of the 1960s. The crooners of a bygone era were not going away, even if rock and roll was taking over the airways. With his heartfelt voice and sultry melodies, Engelbert Humperdinck became the era's love hero. He became a global sensation thanks to songs like Release Main, which appealed to fans who simultaneously longed for classic love melodies. A completely different energy exploded onto the scene with Tom Jones. His electric performances and raw, strong vocals made tunes like It's Not Unusual instant classics. Humperdinck's refined elegance contrasted sharply with Jones's rough ruggedness. Comparisons between the two were unavoidable as audiences became captivated. The competition grew as their careers flourished. Media sources, fans, and promoters started setting them against one another, fostering a rivalry that neither could ignore. The strain was intensely personal as well as professional. Jones and Humperdinck frequently competed for the same fans, the same honors, and occasionally the same attention. As both musicians aimed to rule the charts and the stage, their rivalry reached a climax in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Imagine these two legendary musicians traveling across the same cities, performing at sold-out venues, and attempting to surpass one another at every turn. Jones would enthrall audiences with his exuberant liveliness and physicality. With his charisma and skillful singing, Humperdinck would captivate them with songs that would stick in their heads long after the last note. Not all of the competition was amicable. It was believed that both artists were trying to outdo each other. Jones interpreted Humperdinck's insistence on being dubbed the King of Romance as a challenge to his own standing. Later on, Jones would acknowledge that he felt betrayed by Humperdinck's attempts to overshadow him in the press. Even though they hardly ever got into public arguments, their rivalry simmered behind the scenes and created friction whenever they came into contact. Although his feud with Engelbert Humperdinck was the longest lasting, Tom Jones's exaggerated demeanor frequently caused conflict with others around him. He became an icon because of his unrelenting desire and unrepentant flair, but they also led to disputes that shaped his career. Beneath the glitzy exterior of his success was a man who was not afraid to face the challenges and people he encountered, leaving a legacy of both respect and animosity. Jones' connection with Gordon Mills, his longtime manager, was crucial and complicated. In addition to starting Jones' career, Mills, a cunning businessman, carefully cultivated his reputation, turning the working-class Welshman into a global celebrity. Jones rose to prominence as the star of Vegas showrooms and the global audience favorite under Mills's tutelage. But Jones's dissatisfaction with Mills' hold on his career grew along with his celebrity. The collaboration that had first helped Jones achieve success started to fall apart by the late 1970s. There was a rising sense of animosity due to Mills' strict control over Jones' income and professional choices. Jones felt constrained and unable to completely control his own fate. Before long, their professional disputes became personal, with each accusing the other of treachery. The partnership's eventual dissolution was not a peaceful exit, but rather a contentious struggle that made headlines and took place in courtrooms. Mills, who had played a key role in Jones' quick ascent, turned into a sobering lesson of what happens when devotion and profit collide. The breakup was a time of greater independence for Jones, but it also signaled the end of an era. Tom Jones's disputes weren't always about business. The higher classes of society weren't always a fan of his audacious fashion sense and unadulterated enthusiasm. Jones received a harsh criticism from Prince Philip in the 1960s, who allegedly called him a ghastly singer. It was a powerful remark from a member of the British royal family. It served as a sharp reminder of the persistent class differences in spite of his achievements. Despite how painful the criticism was, Jones didn't let it stop him. Rather, he turned it into motivation to keep performing with the same unreserved assurance that had made him famous. Even though Jones never mentioned it directly, the incident which highlighted the divide between his working-class upbringing and the aristocratic establishment became part of the legend surrounding his ascent. Tom Jones had transformed into a genre-bending performer by the late 1990s, working with up-and-coming artists to update his sound for the contemporary period. One such collaboration was a cover of Baby, It's Cold, Outside by Welsh vocalist Cerys Matthews. Although the duet was a commercial success, the production process was tense. Independent musician Matthews, who is renowned for her unvarnished genuineness, found it difficult to relate to Jones' polished professionalism. However, divergent artistic philosophies turned into a point of contention. The partnership felt forced to Matthews, a mismatch of styles that made her uneasy. For Jones, who flourished on his flexibility, the encounter brought to light the difficulties of overcoming musical and generational barriers. The collaboration turned into a warning about the difficulties of artistic collaborations, and the project's success did not alleviate the strain. Tom Jones had a love-hate connection with the media over his career. As rock and punk music gained popularity in the 1970s, Jones was sometimes written off by critics as a holdover from a different period. In stark contrast to the unadulterated, rebellious spirit of the day, his theatrical acts and showbiz appeal were viewed as archaic. Jones, however, resisted becoming forgotten. He faced the criticism head-on and used it as inspiration to change who he was. Jones had managed to disprove his critics by the 1990s. Hits like Sex Bomb and collaborations with other musicians demonstrated his ability to change without losing his distinctive flair. He refused to be constrained by anyone's expectations, as evidenced by his tenacity in the face of media attention, which became one of his distinguishing characteristics. He rose to the pinnacles of popularity and caused conflict along the way because of his larger-than-life image, which was also his greatest strength. His legacy was made more complex by the tense periods that characterized Jones' voyage, which included conflicts with managers, artistic disagreements, and royal criticism. But there is a tale of resiliency hidden within the disagreements. Jones did more than simply make it through these difficulties. They helped him stay motivated, adjust, and succeed in a field that was always changing. His career, which was influenced by both skill and controversy, is proof of the strength of tenacity and the unwavering spirit of an artist who never gave up. The competition with Tom Jones was a source of both annoyance and motivation for Engelbert Humperdinck. Even while he frequently played down the tension, it was obvious that he felt the weight of the comparisons. Humperdinck took great satisfaction in his artistic abilities and capacity to emotionally engage audiences. Although Jones' showmanship impressed him, he saw it as essentially distinct from his own style. Humperdinck has considered the rivalry with perspective in recent years. Although the competition helped both musicians reach new heights, it also caused needless rifts within their fan bases. Even if their trajectories were similar, Humperdinck now admits that they were influenced by different ideas about what it meant to be an artist. Tom Jones and Engelbert Humperdinck's story is one of extreme opposites. Humperdinck, the silky crooner, was on one side, his voice caressing each note and giving the audience a feeling of elegance and passion. Jones, on the other hand, was a force of unadulterated emotion and energy, whose thunderous vocals and captivating presence left audiences speechless. Despite having quite distinct approaches to music and performance, they were both masters of their trade and were two sides of the same coin. Their antagonism went beyond a simple personality conflict. In a time when music was changing the cultural landscape, it was a defining story. Like opposing forces, their careers entwined, with one advancing in the other's shadow. Those who were looking for classic ballads were drawn to Humperdinck's accuracy and image. Fans who were hungry for spectacle and excitement were drawn to Jones's fierce energy. Their rivalry strengthened their resolve and forced them to hone their craft in ways they might not have otherwise due to the other's constant threat. However, tension and an unsaid but tangible force accompanied that competitiveness, and they persisted in every chart war, shared headline, and comparison between fans and critics. There was more to the rivalry than meets the eye. Both guys were innovators who showed unmatched tenacity in negotiating the tumultuous realm of celebrity. With his smooth voice and impeccable manner, Humperdinck exuded a timeless grace that appeared unaffected by the shifting trends in music. Even when rock and roll threatened to eclipse his genre, he remained relevant by bringing traditional crooning to a contemporary audience. Jones, meantime, burst onto the scene as a representation of working-class tenacity, shattering stereotypes with his unreserved charm and vigor. Despite having very different public personas, few could relate to the relationship they felt because of their common experiences. Both had to deal with the demands of unrelenting scrutiny, the weight of public expectations, and the never-ending struggle to stay relevant in a field that was as demanding as it was erratic. Even if their styles were different, they both had to prove themselves in a society that expected perfection and showed little tolerance for errors. Who could sell more records or attract bigger audiences wasn't the only aspect of their rivalry's drama. It has to do with legacy. Both artists were unwilling to accept second place because they were aware that their history was being written in real time. Small yet meaningful incidents frequently reflected this relentless quest of perfection. A cunning interview remark, a well-timed record release to outshine the competition, or a headline-grabbing performance. There was more to their rivalry than just music. Artistry, ego, and ambition all clashed on the platform. Nevertheless, there was a reluctant respect despite the stress. Each acknowledged the other's special gift and realized that their paths would always be connected. Jones' raw strength was what got audiences to get up, even though Humperdinck's fluid delivery could win hearts. The secret to their lasting impact resided in the fact that neither could really duplicate the other's enchantment. The enduring influence of Humperdinck and Jones's rivalry is demonstrated by their legacy today. In addition to serving as a sentimental homage to a bygone era, their music still serves as a reminder of what it is to be an artist in the purest form. Their stories teach us about resiliency, ambition, and the intricacies of human connection. While their songs arouse memories and their performances astonish, their shared story is now enhanced by the disparities that formerly characterized their professions. Together, they helped to create a musical age that united innovation with tradition, romance and unadulterated passion. Despite its dramatic nature, their rivalry eventually served as an inspiration for succeeding generations of artists, as well as for themselves. Their legacy is a reminder that greatness frequently results from the interaction of conflicting forces, combining triumph and tension. The narrative of two guys who dedicated themselves fully to their art, enduring the highs and lows with a steadfast dedication to it, lay beyond the gloss and glamour. Their respect was the fuel that kept their influence blazing bright. Even though their rivalry may have created the spark, their music now serves as a celebration of a time that will never be forgotten, as well as a monument to their skill.